Thanks for joining Sales with Suli, a mom of 3 who spent the last 12 summers knocking doors. Welcome to my podcast where I talk about all things women, the ups and downs of my journey, and what it takes to find success on and off the doors. Enjoy this episode. Welcome back, guys. Lady friends, majority of you. But today I do have some lady friends with me. Kind of one of the things that we forget in the door-to-door industry is basically those women behind the doors. Like, how many of you ladies out there are girlfriends or are wives or sisters or moms of someone in the industry who's knocking doors? And so I've kind of invited some of the boss women here at Pure Energy to be able to kind of come and share some of their struggles and some of their experiences and how they've been able to find success in their own personal lives and how they've been able to help their spouses find success in the things that they're doing as well. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of have you guys introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you, like what you do outside of door-to-door, obviously, who you're married to, how long you've been married to them, and all the places they've done door-to-door. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and start with Mackenzie.
Okay. I'm Mackenzie, a CC. I am Tavita's wife. Tavita is CC. And we've been married
Who's Tavita?
Tavita's the CS,
Yeah, you got to tell us
CSO?
who you... Oh, yes. What's so cool about your spouse?
I don't know.
We are
Wendy
bringing
and Dad's
titles
buddies,
into
so-
this page.
so
Yes, she's like,
who
she's here.
We have been married for about 14 years. Been together about 20. And what was the next? How many places? We've literally been everywhere. Like from New York to Boston to Georgia to definitely all of the South. And yeah.
And the industries that he's like knocked in or been in.
Let's start with P1, Alder. He's literally been with every company out there.
Okay, so he's done a lot of alarms and now solar.
Yes, he's always done summer sales of door to door with alarms, and now this is his first year of solar.
Yay.
Second year.
So tell us about you and what you do, because he is not the definition of Mackenzie.
Yeah. I just opened up a cookie company. It's called Milk Bottle Cookies. And
To die for cookies, by the way. I'm hoping that she does online orders one of these days.
One day, yeah. I like toggling between like being exclusive to Waco or not. So we'll see. But yeah, so that's what I just started that about. It's been born for about 3 years. So now we have a storefront coming and all of the situation, and yeah, that's what I do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Mackenzie.
You're welcome.
Devin.
Me?
Yes.
I'm Devin Cruz. I'm married to Matt Cruz. He's the top setter in the company. We've been married for almost 2 years now, and he went with Aptive, but I've only ever known Pure. So, because we were about to go with Aptive, and then last minute we switched to Pure.
Oh, this last year.
Yeah, last summer, it was like literally a month before we were about to go out, and we're like, psych, we're going to Pure.
What are some of like the differences that you've seen with Matt being in pest control and then like transitioning into being like a lead trainer, top setter here at Pure?
I think he's a lot happier. Like before, it was like all about him and grinding, and he hated recruiting. He hated recruiting because he's like, I don't want to work off of your hard earnings. Like, I don't want to get paid because you're slaving out there. He's like, I want to prove my worth, and I want to be able to help people, but not feel like, hey, I'm making money off of you. Like, he just wants to work for himself, but also like help others along the way.
I love that. So tell us about like you and like what you do on the side and like basically like the definition of Devin and who you are.
I own Alani Tea Co. So it's a herbal tea company. I started it last October. It took me like a whole year to create my recipes and develop it. And yeah, I was a wedding planner before that, and I completely did a 180, and I was like, let's try something new.
Yeah.
And this is definitely something like you own, like it's yours, like you can stand behind it.
Yeah, Matt's the first one to say I have nothing to do with it. Like, I have no input. He's like, most people know more about my teas than him. He's like, what? You're doing this? And he'll try one and he'll be like, oh, this is good. Because he's like, I'm not a tea person. And then I give him some tea and he's like, oh, this is good. And I'm like, Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that's probably like the same with Mackenzie. Like it's all you. Like that's something.
To be honest with you, it's really not. Like I think it's like this this double-edged rope. Like we're pulling and tugging and like to like have babies and to, you know, like to build a company, and like he's my worst and my best critic, you know? Like he tells me, all right, Ken's like, that's not good. I'm like, really? Try it one more time, you know? But like, yeah.
Tell me it's good this time.
So like he's my best supporter, but like my worst critic.
Yeah.
You know? So it's
he's
definitely
gonna be the one that's gonna be the most truthful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, but people like love him. Like everyone, right? When I put him on the Instagram or anything like that, like they're like, "What does Tuvita like? Show me what Tuvita likes." Because he's so like, you can see it in his face that he's like, "No, girl," you know. And then but usually it's always like, "Yeah, that's good."
I love that. Hannah, so tell us about you, how long you've been married, who you're married to, what industries he's been in, and a little bit about you.
Okay. So my name's Hannah Randall. I'm married to Blake Randall. He's in the kitchen cooking right now.
Just stirring your food.
Oh, really? What does he actually do? Blake is top closer. We've been married for 3 years now. And ever since we've been married, we did door to door. So, like, we got married, and that very next day, we went and did doors. No honeymoon, just doors.
Hasn't even taken her to Hawaii yet, and he's a top closer. Like, that just pisses me off.
I always feel proud about that. But, so it was Vivint, and now Pure.
So now Solar. Well, tell us a little bit about you, and like kind of like what are your dreams and aspirations? Like, what do you want to do?
Honestly, so I've done a lot of different things. Like I taught swimming lessons for years, and that's been my passion. But actually, more recently, I've tried door to door. Actually, with Pure doing solar, and I don't know. It was honestly just these amazing women in front of me. And my husband, who just inspired me to just want to grow and be better. And I don't know, I just want to grow in different ways. I want to get out of my comfort zone and
I freaking love it.
try things. So
this is exactly why I wanted to have this episode. Like, I feel like a lot of times we are looking at spouses, we are looking at the reps and just like, how are they finding like so much success? Like why are they doing so well on the doors? And I know for me, like my husband sees every like nasty reaction. Like I can come and be like my true and authentic self behind closed doors with my husband, and he's gonna like accept me no matter what. Like all that most people see is gonna be like our numbers or our stats or what's on social media, but it's going to be these women, it's going to be those of you girlfriends, those of you sisters and siblings who see behind closed doors just kind of like the struggles that our spouses go through on the doors. And so I kind of want to hear from you, Hannah, like what are some struggles that you feel like that your husband is one of like the top closers in the industry has gone through, and how are you able to like talk him through it or work him through it or kind of like just be there for him, because obviously he's not going to be able to go out the next day without having support here at home.
Oh gosh, that's a loaded question.
Yeah, it is.
How many what struggles he's been through and like how I've
now we're going to get a little piece of Blake.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, actually I feel like Blake hides it really well. Something I don't love about him. I'm like, show me.
You and Walter would be best friends.
show me your insides. But anyways, so I feel like.
So he has no struggles then, I guess.
Yeah, he's perfect.
Okay.
He definitely struggles. Like he has moments where he breaks down. It feels like it's once a year, but when he does, that's when I feel like I see the true Blake. I'm like, oh, you're human. Like now I don't compare to a perfect person anymore. I can compare to you because you're normal.
You're not a robot.
Yeah, but he just, he's always had just the desire to be his best and do his best, and he wants to inspire and help others. It's always been a big thing for him, is helping others. Gosh, I wish I could tell you more about his struggles, but he doesn't even tell me them sometimes. So I just know that he does. It's hard. He has a big heart. He wants to help out everyone, and I guess working at a company and having to deal with guys below you, and you guys would probably all understand the same thing, is that not everyone's gonna like you. Not everyone's going to be your best supporter. Not everyone's going to perform the way you want them to perform. And so I think he struggles with that. I wouldn't say he's a people pleaser, but he tries hard to help
and
each
be there
person.
for people. Yeah,
he struggles with that.
And I feel like that you're a great example of that. Like you are super motivating. Like you are kind, and I feel like those are some things that rubs off on Blake. Like he sees the type of person that you are behind closed doors, and you may not know it, but when he's out there, a lot of the things that he talks about is going to be Hannah. So although yes, he probably doesn't show his a lot of his struggles, a lot of times just know that you're one of his biggest strengths, and a lot of us hear about it all the time. And so I'm just grateful for the example that you are kind of in this industry, because Blake is definitely a top producer, and he's hardly home. He's gone and he's working and doing all those things. And I look at people like you and Mackenzie and Devin, and when I look at top reps in the industry, whether it's pest control, whether it's alarm, whether it's internet, I'm not looking at that rep. I am looking beyond that rep and holy cow, what are the struggles that their wife is going through because they're gone so much. And Mackenzie, I want to know that kind of from you. It's true, Tavita is awesome. I tell him and Blake, and basically men in general, that women are super loyal people, and those men who are kind and who are loving and the little things, I feel like those little things is what drew me to Tavita. It's and he always says, he's don't be loyal to anyone. Don't be loyal to companies. You got to be loyal to yourself and to your family first. But he doesn't realize us as women, we find loyalty in people. Yeah. And I feel like I found that in him. But what are some things that you feel that he struggled with, because he's amazing in a lot of things, that you're able to support him in?
I think honestly, with Tavita, he's a special being for sure. Going through all of these cells and going through all of these different companies, we've been bent over, we've been bent sideways, we've been screwed. We're all waiting for this weird back end that never comes. We're all there. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think when Pure came about, he took all of these essential components of what literally our family has struggled with for 10 years. We've been in sales for 10 years, and took that and said okay, we focus on the wives, because he saw me have mental breakdowns 75% of the time, we focus on the kids, we focus on the families, we focus on the trust. The trust and the loyalty is so huge. I think in both of our in both of our upbringing, loyalty is so huge that I think that is why he says that. He says, don't trust this company. Have loyalty, that's great, but if something comes along better, I love you and you love me, and let's grow. You grow. He wants to see the people grow. You know what I mean? Yeah, and
I love that. We definitely in the sales industry call that pulling back, where we want them to think really.
Oh yeah, I learned about the pull back.
Pull back, whatever works.
I learned about that.
Yes, whatever works for you, definitely.
That's funny.
These women don't even know that they are basically salesmen themselves too, with their kids, with their dogs, with their spouses, because all they're hearing about is sales and the different topics on a regular basis. And as I'm watching Mackenzie doing the pullback, I'm she is married to a pro. But
that's the problem. The problem with me though is you see exactly how I'm feeling on my face at all times. So it's he's pull it together, and I'm I'm ready to go. We gotta go. Yeah, we're ready. So for me with sales and stuff like that, I'm I don't think they're ready. It's fine. I'm I feel bad. Especially old people. I would be I'll buy it for you. It's fine. So it's just,
true.
yeah,
Old people alone.
I know, right?
Devin, so tell us about Matt. Like, he is definitely super successful here in solar. He's a high producer. I swear, like, everyone on my team is like, when are we going back to Waco? When are we going back? And I was like, if y'all don't knock it off and learn to deal without Matt, who does not belong to you guys, like, but I kind of want to know, like, what are some of his, like, struggles and kind of, like, some of the things that you've done to be able to, like, help and support him?
That's a hard one. I feel like it's like kind of like Matt doesn't, he's just like locks it up, and I can see that there's an issue, and I'm just like shake it out. Like, tell me, like, I want to be there. And I feel like, I don't even know, like, his biggest struggles is just he wants to see people do the best, and he's always thinking of trainings and stuff like that and how he can improve his trainings to help people. I don't know, it's hard. It's hard when they don't open up, and it's like, I want you to open up and, like, confide in me, and
yeah,
that's mainly our biggest fights is
they're like, hey, come and tell me.
Yeah, and just like it gets to the breaking point where I'm like, enough. Like, I feel like he has his outlets. He's just like, he needs a space, and I'm just like, no. I feel like his biggest struggle is alone time. Yeah, that's what he wants.
He's like, I'm dealing with reps and people all day. I just want to come home and, like, actually do nothing.
Oh yeah, and I'm just like, I'm at the door waiting, and I'm just like, Kate, you ready for me now? And he's like, I just need 10 minutes alone. Or he's like, half an hour, and it's like, Kate, just give me 10 minutes. And I'm like, I'm just like waiting for him. It's just like, what? I haven't seen you all day. And it's like, or yeah, I feel like that's his biggest struggle is alone time.
Yeah, and I know a lot of times, like, even like my family members will just like ask Walter, like, how do you deal with her? Like, how do you, like, put up with her? Like, she's always gone. You're, like, tending to the kids. You're, like, doing all these things. Like, legitimately, like, none of my success would even, like, be possible if it were not for Walter. Like, I'm just thinking about, like, this week. Like, I was having the hardest time the week before. And he shows up with all of our kids. And 2 days into showing up, like, my son drinks, like, half the pool water. And literally the next day he is like coughing and, you know, feeling super warm. And I'm like, he's like, oh, I should probably take him to the doctor. I was like, oh no, he's not going to the doctor. He's just warm. He'll basically like suck it up. Like, he's 2, he'll figure it out. Like, and Walter's like later, he's like, I am taking him to the doctor. So he took him to the doctor, and they said like 1 degree higher and he would have had a stroke. And literally, like, my heart freaking, like, dropped, but, like, how in tune that my husband is with, like, our kids. Like, how safe my kids feel, like, how well I do on the doors, because I know everything at home is taken care of. And I think a lot of times, like, even us as sales reps, like, especially high-producing sales reps, we forget, you know, the people who aren't such little people that are basically like keeping it together. Like, all the times that I'm breaking down, all the times that I'm freaking out, or when I want to cuss, it's like I'm taking it out on Walter. I'm like, one of the reps just like pissed me off, and I have like the perfect smile. Oh, yeah, I'm so sorry. Oh my gosh, like, so like, how do they not even like get it? And all he does is just listen. And so a lot of times when I do see Blake or Tavita or freaking like Matt, like out there helping us, like I feel so bad because I'm looking at you guys like behind closed doors, and I'm like, oh, hurry home, or yeah, if that's Hannah, like answer the phone, or like, Tavita, you're always on the road, like when did you see the kids? Like, as I'm over here, like, hun, I'll see you in 4 weeks. Like, you know, being a hypocrite myself, but along the lines of like this episode, it's just out to those of you women who do reach out to me and is like, how are you balancing life and work? And I'll be honest, I honestly don't have a balance when it is during the summer. It's mainly work. But I kind of want to know from you guys, like, what are some things that you guys are having at home that you guys feel like is a balance? Or do you guys just feel like right now, this season in your guys' life, there isn't a balance? Like, what do you feel, Devin?
That's actually, you bringing up, I'm like, oh, Matt and I literally just had a fight about it, because I was just like, yeah. I don't feel like I'm contributing, because I came from like, I want to work, I work to make my money. That's what I've always done. So now it's just like, I take care of the home and that, and like making it equal. And he's like, you do so much for me. And I'm like, it's hard to see that when you're like at home cleaning, cooking. Couldn't imagine kids right now. I'm just like, the time I'm just like, but I feel like right now in our stage of life, because we don't have kids, it's kind of just like suck it up, and that's what we do. We're kind of trying to find that balance, I think, before kids, which I feel like they're just going to come in and it's going to be messed up anyway, but it's finding where we're both happy, where he's getting his alone time, where I'm getting my like relationship time. Like I need face-to-face contact where he's not on his phone, not answering a work call. It's a work in progress every day. I feel like it's never perfect.
Especially during the summer when like all the reps are here and people are like knocking and he's like in charge of training.
Summer, I feel like it's just biting the bullet. Like just be like, it's okay, a couple more months and then it will get better, and then just...
And he's probably like, just go buy something. I swear I've said that to Walter a couple times.
No, he's the opposite. I came home and I'm like, look what I got for like 50 cents. He's like, you didn't need that. He was like, I was like, but I spent my money like so wisely, like 50 cents, like this is normally 20. And he's like, but did you need it? So it's not go buy something. I'm the first thing to be like, yeah, I'm telling the wife, I'm like, go buy it. Like, don't hesitate. Like, go swipe that credit card. He's away, swipe that.
I freaking love that. Go Matt. What about you, Hannah? What are some ways that you find balance? If you do. If you don't, that's okay too.
Some ways that I find balance? Or
both. Like in your guys' relationship and home life.
Gosh. I feel like it's always a work in progress. Constantly. But there's something that I feel like you said once actually that I see a lot in Blake, is that you just take it 1 hour at a time or 1 day at a time. Yeah. I really like that. You said that when I was out knocking, and I see Blake do that all the time, because I can easily stress and be like, oh, we haven't spent time in weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
I've seen them so long, and then I just, I
kind of try to just focus on those moments where he is around, or kind of like those times where he does.
Yes. Well, even like when he's stressed, I feel like he's really good at that. Just like, 1 moment at a time. Let's deal with this problem. Then we'll get back to.
Blake sounds so perfect.
I know. Right?
Look at Hannah. It's just Hannah. She only just.
Freaking Blake and Hannah.
No. I feel all the time. I feel like I don't know why he married me, because I'm so imperfect. How we think is very different. I would have never thought, oh yeah, 1 day, 1 hour at a time, that makes sense. I'm just like all of it at once. So, but yeah, and you actually said that, so I
love it.
Yeah.
I feel like you're just choosing to find the good in it, where I don't know about me, but I'm complaining to him every day.
I know, I do, for sure. I get, yeah.
It's okay.
It just...
I love it. It's great. Mackenzie, tell us how you find balance, or if you guys do, or if this is just a season where you really can't because he's recruiting a ton.
I don't think there's really like any balance. Like I think like from the beginning, like Tavita's been gone. Like this is our first, since he signed with Pure, our first time being together, like going to bed together every night, and like this is our first time. You know what I mean? So like Pure is like such a blessing, but such like, I mean, now we're like, what do we do with each other? Like, we're like hanging out with each other every night,
we're like,
like,
I love that.
I don't know. I think like it's definitely the season of life for sure. I think the balance, we're both giving up so much. Yeah. He's giving up time for our kids. Like he missed all of Viv growing up. You know what I mean? And I'm at home. I get that blessing to like watch Viv. I'm a stay-at-home mom until I got here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like we're giving this both like push and shove of like, I mean, I always say to him like, I don't need you, but I want you, and like I want you here, but I can go on without you. You know what I mean? Like I want that. You know? Yeah. And so I think like that's like our balance of like, we both know like it sucks right now. Like this sucks. Like you miss the kids, I miss you, and this is how it is right now. But like I think like we both have that mindset, especially as we get older. Like we have to put our nose to the ground and we have to hustle right now. Like this is what we have to do. So like grow a pair, and this is what we're doing. Like
with every group setting that I have, there's always like a line that I take away from like each podcast, and that is definitely going to be this one.
Yeah.
Is I don't need you, but I want you.
Yeah.
And it's such a powerful thing.
Yeah, that is like an amazing line because it's so true. Like our spouses, it's going to be the same thing. Like they don't really need us, but they're wanting us.
Yeah.
Like I love that line.
Yeah.
And that's definitely going to be the title of this.
Yeah.
Like, and as you guys talk about like being at home and just like kids, or like Devin, you were talking about like cleaning and all these things. Like I, the other day, went to go and do my own laundry, and I was so pissed off. I was like, literally, like my time was so important. I'm like, I had to drive 7 minutes to find a laundromat. Then I sat there for 30 minutes while my stuff was like washing, to then go put it back in the dryer and go and run other errands. And I was like, this is normally what Walter does. Like, legitimately does like laundry, does cleaning, does all these things. And I'm like, we tend to believe that those kinds of things are invaluable. Like at home, they're like, oh, I'm not contributing much. I'm not like doing all these things. But we don't even realize like how much value or how much time and peace that we're giving to that rep by them not having to come home and worry about dinner, or the kids being taken care of, or the dogs. Do you guys have a dog?
We have a dog, yeah.
Okay, I feel like everyone in Waco has a dog. So,
I feel like it's a recent thing. Like everyone's just gotten dogs.
Yeah. But the way that I do want to end this podcast, are we going to go on to the next section? Okay. I want to give a takeaway for those of you women who are married to sales reps, or those of you girlfriends or siblings who are kind of like struggling. I want to leave with like a piece of advice from each and every one of us on being able to just kind of overcome the dynamics of what it's like to deal with door to door. And we'll go ahead and start from this side. We'll start from Hannah.
Me first again. Okay.
If there was some advice, if there was some advice that you'd give to like a wife, of another sales rep, like I have plenty of people like on the team, and even in other places where I've knocked, where they've like newly married, and the wife is just like at home, like prepping dinners, working out, doing all those things, and they never see their spouse. And then when the spouse does get home, they're just super frustrated. But like, what's some advice that you can give to kind of just overcome that and thinking about goals, I guess?
I feel like it depends on the day. But for right now, I would say perspective, because there's definitely days, and I don't want to ever downplay like when a wife is struggling and misses her husband and wants them there, because it's really hard, especially if you have kids. But it does help me when I am reminding myself, like, Blake's doing this for me. He's doing this for our future. He's doing this to help others. Yeah. He's like, so that way we don't have that financial worry or burden later in life. Yeah. That way we can, if something happens with this family or my family, we can drop in a second anything that we're doing and go fly and be with them. So it's all for like that future perspective of like, you know what, I miss him today, or, I'm going to see him for a little bit, just even if I feel like we get 10 minutes because he's on a phone call or something. It's just that perspective. And if you are struggling, having those hard days, weeks, months, years, because I would say like our first year in summer sales was pretty awful. And then I kind of got the hang of it. I'm like, oh, now it's just normal almost. But yeah, definitely perspective, because and being grateful for what your spouse or husband is doing, because they're trying their hardest, as well as you are too, but they're doing it for you, and they're doing it for your family.
I love that perspective. Like, definitely just having that in the back of your mind as they're out there doing it for you. Thanks, Hannah. Yeah. What about you, Mackenzie?
Will you ask me the question again?
Yes. What's a piece of advice that you can leave for someone who's has a rep or who has a spouse that's in the door-to-door industry and they're kind of struggling?
So I think, like, when you guys were just saying about, like, you know, the cooking and the cleaning and stuff like that, like, Tweeta could care less. Like, he literally just wants me to sit with him. Like, so to have, like, that love language figured out, like, for me, like, sweep and tell me I'm pretty and I'll do whatever you want me to do. You know, but he just wants the time, you know? And so I think, like, to fulfill your spouse and to be that safe space, you know, your spouse gets door shut in, get called, whatever he wants to, whenever, you know what I mean? Like, to have him come home and not to be like, I mean, and this is a learned trait for sure. Like, I mean, I'm a seasoned vet. Summer sauce. No, but like, to be that safe space that he can come home and you're just the wife. You guys can just make out on the couch and you're just there. You know what I mean? Like, to have that safe space for him to come home and not talk about work. Like, me and Tweeta rarely talk about work. And so, like, I think definitely the love and the perspective for sure, to be the safe space for your spouse.
Knowing their love language and kind of like, And the thing is, that's crazy. As I'm listening to you, like, think about that and just kind of like, how authentic and generous and how much you do love him, because it's like the whole day you're dealing with a ton of stuff too, but you just said like, okay, all he's thinking about is just like time when he comes home, and you're like concerned about like giving that to him. Like, that is just like, holy cow, I need to step up my game.
Meanwhile, there's so much freaking laundry. I gotta do laundry to be fine.
Yeah, he told us his little story about like the piles that he leaves. Like,
he literally like covers up and like sticks them in the closet. I'm like, I'm gonna find these. What are you doing? I'm like, just put them in the laundry basket. It's gonna be fine.
Yeah, I love those stories. Like, successful people are definitely humans too. Support this. But Devin, yes, tell us what's a piece of advice that you would leave for someone who might be struggling as a spouse or girlfriend or anything to someone in door-to-door?
I would say to know you're not alone. That's like the biggest thing that
Definitely.
I've leaned on, is like these amazing women, like they're really like, I feel like when they're gone on those long trips, like it's just like leaning on the fellow women, and it's just like, you know, you feel like your struggles in your marriage or like the door-to-door, you're like, it's me and me alone, like no one else is going through it. You look in on everyone, you're like, they're perfect, like they seem perfect, they have that bubble, but then you just, when you're vulnerable to your like fellow sales wives, then they're like, no, I'm going through that too, and you're like, really? And then you're just like, wow, like we're all going through it, and then you can have these like bonding moments where you're like, yeah, it sucks, but we got each other. When they're away, like we just like huddle together, and it's us.
I love that. And it is like one reason why I definitely like respect like your guys' team here. Like, everyone has their drama, everyone has like their personal things going on, but I feel like the women here have like found fellowship in each other. And a lot of times in this industry, we are just finding reasons to compare or to judge or to, hey, we're not going to hang out with this person, as opposed to finding reasons of like why we should reach out to that wife who might be struggling, or why we should reach out to that spouse's rep or whatnot who's struggling. Like, you guys, like, finding your guys' friendship in each other is like definitely something that I look up to, and definitely hope and wish that more women in the industry who might just be the spouse, and I don't want to say just, because you guys just don't even realize like how much of you guys just being there really is like the support system for us. And so I just want to like thank you guys just for the example that you guys are here. Like, even though we don't see you guys on a regular basis, just know that the things that we hear about you guys, the things that we see, it definitely motivates us to be better. Like, I see the type of wife that you are to your husband, or like you running like your tea business or like your cookie business and still being there for your spouse, and I'm over here like all cut up in myself, like, freak, I didn't close this deal for this person and this and that, but I'm not even like worried about like my husband and like the background of who I should be like supporting and loving, because he's going to be the one that's going to support me back. And so again, for those of you struggling out there on the doors who may be newlyweds or seasoned, like some of us, just like Dan says, like, you're not alone. Like Hannah said, like, definitely look at perspective. And Mackenzie, we don't need you, but definitely we want you. And for me, the piece of advice that I would leave for those of you guys is actually sitting there and writing out the reasons why your spouse wants to do what they do. Like, Walter knows my goals. Walter knows exactly what I want to accomplish, and he never questions it. And it's why he does the things that he does, is because he was in on my thoughts. He was in on our goals. We made those goals together. And although, yes, he's not the one knocking the doors, he's like my biggest cheerleader. And I know one thing that I want to do better on, and one thing that I hope for some of you wives out there who may be struggling, is being better cheerleaders for your spouses. Like, I know that it could be draining. I know that we could find a lot of things on the doors to complain about. Or I guess you guys aren't the ones on the doors, but you guys can find a lot of reasons at home, like being alone, to complain to your spouse about. But just know that as they're dealing with the emotions of people on their team, as they're dealing with the emotions of customers that they're getting home to, just know that sometimes their cup might be a little full, that when they're coming home at the end of the day, to also know that you are struggling is a little bit hard. And I know that us as sales reps, we need to do a little bit better and be more understanding in that concept. And again, thank you guys. Like, literally, for being the backbone of this industry is women. Like, flat out, you wives are the backbone, and my Walter. I don't know too many. And my Walter. I don't know too many like women who like have their men back there, so I can't really like say that. But for any of you guys who are women and you guys are knocking doors and you're married to a husband who's staying at home, please text me. Please like message me. I would love to get to know them too. But anyways, thanks for showing up for us. Thanks for taking the time to tune in. If I've added any kind of value to your thoughts on knocking doors, please share this podcast with another female rep. Until next time, know that you are capable, you are valued, and most importantly, you are enough.